That sounded epic. That was pretty gosh darn good right there. Hi, I'm Lou with another episode of My Car Story. Well, when I come to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, the Chrysler Nationals, I look forward to seeing Ralph Barbagallo, and he always has a great car for us. No exception today. This was his first car that got him into Mopars. Ralph, what year, make, and model is this one?
It is a 1967 Plymouth GTX with the optional 426 Hemi in it, and a 4-speed.
The 4-speed. It has, well, it all. And the color, come on right along with me.
It's Light Turbine Bronze Metallic.
Light Turbine Bronze Metallic. Come back with me right there. Thank you. And that was kind of the same color of the turbine cars. Were those in 66, I believe?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the turbine color. You have the GTX was the upgrade, the red, white, and blue center there. You got the Plymouth, the all-important little 426 badge. Now, first of all, what year did you get this one?
I bought this in 1988.
1988, and there was someone who convinced you that you should get this car.
There was. My father-in-law at the time was my girlfriend's dad, and I really wanted a 69 Mach 1.
That's what you told him, 69 Mach 1.
I had the bargain news out, and we were going through it and looking at it, and I was on the couch at my then girlfriend's parents' house, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm looking for a Mustang." Well, Mustangs were really expensive back then, so I couldn't afford it at 18 years old. I was making $3.50 an hour, and he says, "Why don't you buy a Roadrunner or a GTX?" And I says, "What am I gonna do with that?" He says, "They're cheaper and they're faster." And he was right. This car was $4,500 back then. I bought it from a recovering alcoholic who did the paint on the car and a recovering drug addict who did the bodywork. And this car kept them sane. And,
come on with me. I want to keep looking at the car. So let me look at the bodywork. Keep telling the story.
It needed a little bit of it. The interior needed work. It needed a little bit of cleaning here and there. And for the most part, it was solid. Didn't really need very much body work. It looked really nice, and May of 1988 I bought it.
So it's like the therapy car.
It was the therapy car for them. For me, it was the fun car, and it's what taught me about Chrysler. It's what made me enjoy Chrysler. It was the engineering and everything that this car had and that this car exhibited just by driving it, just by having fun, taking it out to the turnpike on Saturday nights and just enjoying it. And then coming home and only having to polish it after you beat on it for 2 to 3 continuous hours and just had fun with it. And so, yeah, it's a great car. I've enjoyed it all these years. This is the first time it's been here to Carlisle. The first time? First time. It's
first car and the first time?
First time it's been to Chrysler's at Carlisle.
And here it is being shown. Yep. Has it ever been videoed?
It has not.
So This is it.
Bancroft out of Worcester is the dealership it's sold brand new to.
Let's open the trunk, shall we?
You got it. We do have some trunk or treats.
Which is great. We got the insert reverse lights there. They call that argent, that silver. Look at that.
In 1966, that was the first year for the street Hemi. So in 67, they lit up all of the Carcraft magazines, Motor Trend, everything had an ad in it, every single magazine. And they weren't shy. Performance was it. That's what they were talking about. Ronnie Socks in 67 had a 67 Belvedere 2, dressed like a GTX, and he just tore it all up. Did really well with it. That's the best ad right there. Beat it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Let people kind of read that. I want to make sure they get the text on that. Make sure I can get I'm getting a little bit of glare off the plastic, so I want to angle it just so that it shows there.
There, perfect.
Nice. Tell me about these rims.
So, back in, let's see, probably 90, 91, there was an ad in the Bargain News for a set of Hurst wheels, and I answered it, and they were $25 a piece, so I went and bought them, and learned a lot about them. The ones on the right-hand side of the car are consecutive serial numbers, the later ones, and the ones on the left, on the other side of the car, are earlier wheels, and they have that traditional center. that I'll show you that's polished. But they are consecutive serial numbers. And the car, being the color it is, it doesn't have that pop to it. It's kind of more of a muted color. I felt the wheels would give it that dazzle that it needed.
Yeah, that's great.
These are more of the traditional with the correct trim rings, correct center caps.
Yeah.
And the other side is the later ones when he was thinking about making them, George Hurst was thinking about making them a unilug wheel where he could just have one wheel. And when you pull the wheel off on the back, you could actually see the machining for the unilug.
Wow.
But this has a silverish paint to it where the other side doesn't. So these two match and the other two match. You can't see the car both sides at the same time, so it would work out well.
That's pretty incredible. All right, we'll close that.
Sure.
Thank you. Great trunk and treats.
Got it.
And a
One
great
more for
explanation of the trunk and treats.
Come on over.
Yeah,
Got
please.
the window sticker from
Oh,
Bancroft. There it is, right there.
Look at you. Wow. So when you bought it, it hadn't lost any value.
No, he actually made a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's open this up. We'll take a look in here. Now, did you know you were getting something special with the bronze?
I didn't.
When did you realize that was special? The right amount
After
of
going
pedals?
to like the Mopar Nationals, probably in the mid-90s when I started to get into like the Mopar Nationals and the bigger shows, and you just didn't see them. You saw a lot of these cars with black interior, but they had this Western styling in the seat that they did, and you really can't pick that up in the black interior car. So it really popped well. It looked really, really cool.
It's really nice how they kind of bezeled the seats there too. Very cool.
And in 1967, there was no Roadrunner, so this was it. This was the car that they all liked. This was the car that everybody wanted. You got the 150 speedometer.
There we see
the all-important tachometer on the console that you could not read when you were shifting gears.
Right. That's a terrible place for attack, but where they had it. That radio is correct?
That's correct, the AM radio.
Wow.
Correct shifter, correct shifter ball, correct everything. There is nothing that is incorrect on that. Everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Wow. So you've had this car this long. Do you just not, I mean, it's got 87,000 miles. I'm sure those are all original. Do you just not take this out?
I do. I take it out, but sometimes...
Is it more your special car?
It's not really, I don't really call it my special car. It's my, if the weather isn't great car, it's the one I take because the paint isn't the best.
Okay.
They painted it with lacquer and then they cleared it with enamel and the enamel cracked on it. So you'll see it. But now when I take it out and everybody sees it, they think it's original paint. And let them think whatever they want.
Let's pop the hood, shall we?
Everything is pretty period correct looking in it.
Wow. You know,
so 426 Hemi, runs like a dream. Everything is correct. Everything is the way it's supposed to be.
I don't care how many times I've...
Manual brakes, manual steering originally. This is an Axle Performance Package car, which was 1967, and I love them cars. Oh, what, do you want to see the Certi card from the original owner?
Look at that.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, that is very cool.
So, this is an Axle Performance Package car, which I like them. I like Super Track Pack cars, and most of them mine are. In 1967, you could get
Tell me what that means. Super Track Pack.
In 1967, you could ask for what was called a special prop axle. And what that meant was they gave you the 410 Dana rear end, and this car came with it. And I've only seen a handful of them, and they're very... there's a lot of, well, no, they didn't make them. Well, yes, they did. Well, I have an example. And I know of others that have the same example. And
can you just pop that off quickly, or is that not easy?
You want to see the carburetors?
Yeah.
Of course it's easy to do.
Now, do you work on your own cars too, correct?
I do, yeah. I do. This engine I built myself. I rebuilt that engine.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Question for you: should we start it with it on or
however
off?
you want?
Let's start it with it off. I'll just watch them move. I don't know if I've ever done that before. Had the Hemi carburetors in action, so to speak. 2 4-barrels. Let me let it idle for a second. Hit the brakes for just a minute. Thank you. Let me listen to that idle. And those tips angled like that are correct. Now that's really well dialed in, Ralph. Go ahead, give it a rev. One more time. Nice body rock on that. Let's take it for a ride.
All right.
So Ralph and I are taking off in the 67 GTX Hemi 4-speed. How's it feel?
Good.
Now I know this road I put you back on is almost kind of a little twisty, turny, and this is really a straight action car, but it feels good. How long did it take to dial in those dual carbs? Because this really sounds well.
Well, there was a gentleman, Dick Catter. He builds my carburetors, and he's just excellent with doing them. And what comes with that is, if you have any questions on tuning them, well, in the beginning it was kind of hard to figure that all out, but with Dick's help and my engine builder, Ted Thompson's help, we figured it out, and we've got kind of a good tune for a stock car and a good tune for if we're going to race it. So
yeah,
we've got them pretty good now. So there's really these carters are not that hard to tune if you know what you're doing.
Because sometimes you hear them and they're either too choppy or too much gap in the lobe, but these are like perfect.
Yeah, she runs good.
This is a fun car if this is the car you enjoy taking out, I'll tell you right now. That's a good moment. Now I'm not trying to encourage it, but we do have a little straightaway here. Small children of us comes out in a delightful way. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We'll follow him. Well, another fun time in Carlisle. Ralph, it's always great to see you.
Well, I enjoy doing this every single time. I will never get tired of this, and I appreciate you taking the time to feature the car on the channel.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.